Hello, everyone. My name is Ayman Chaudhary, and I am the head of Secretariat of Global Compact Network Canada. It is my pleasure to welcome you to our interview series with sustainability leaders. As a network of responsible businesses and as the Canadian chapter of the world's largest corporate sustainability initiative, UN Global Compact, our role here is to inspire more businesses to adopt sustainable practices and contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals. This interview series is to showcase outstanding action that accelerate the global goals undertaken by our network members. Our objective here is to highlight ambitious actions implemented by leaders to fast forward the 2030 agenda through the implementation of the 10 principles of the UN Global Compact. Also, to identify and recognize efforts from companies accelerating the integration of sustainability into their core business management. We are glad to feature today Candace Laing as our sustainability leader. Candace is the Vice President of Sustainability and Stakeholder Relations at Nutrien. Nutrien is a UN Global Compact signatory and a visionary supporter of our organization, Global Compact Network Canada. Thank you so much for joining us today, Candace. Would be great if you kindly share a bit about Nutrien and your role in the organization with our audience.
Thanks, Ayman. And thanks for having me today. As you said, I'm Candace Laing, and for Nutrien, I'm our global lead and vice president for our sustainability and stakeholder relations. And happy to be with you today from Treaty 6 territory and homeland of the Métis, which is also known as Saskatoon. For those of you who might not know a lot about Nutrien, let me share a little bit about our company. We're only 3 years old. We merged and became Nutrien in January of 2018. And as a company today, we are both the world's largest fertilizer producer and North America's largest agricultural retailer. And our vision is really to be that leading integrated agricultural solutions provider. And we do that across many countries, but heavily in North America and right here in Canada as well. And one of the things that I'm really proud of, and because my whole family farms, is that Nutrien works with more than 500,000 farmers and growers in our business. And so we're really excited about our sustainability strategy and believe we have a really important role in transforming agriculture.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that brief introduction. It clearly shows Nutrien has a strong sustainability ambition. So what would you say that, what are the main drivers of this ambition in your organization?
Well, I'm glad you said drivers because there are more than one, but they all work together. So first and foremost, our sustainability strategy really brings to life our purpose as Nutrien. And our purpose is to grow our world from the ground up. And that really means that our sustainability strategy provides solutions for our growing world. And in addition to purpose, our focus on sustainability is really grounded in what are the most significant material topics from an ESG perspective for our company. And we assess those very rigorously. We are constantly, updating and making sure we understand what those material topics are for our company. And finally, the third driver is that's all in the context of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which really provides that broader framework for the transformation required around our biggest challenges and opportunities. So for Nutrien, that means that, as I mentioned, we have an aim to transform agriculture, but really lead what is the next shift in the agricultural evolution. And I say evolution because agriculture hasn't been standing still, it has constantly changed. But there is a shift. We have gone from a period in the last 50 years where we have figured out how to grow more on existing land. And that's been very important for both our food security, but maintaining existing carbon sinks, et cetera. But now we have to continue to produce well and grow more on existing or maybe even less land as we're bringing solutions to climate as we do that. And in addition, bringing along the important work of reducing barriers that we've had to inclusion, and making sure we have that focus on inclusive agriculture going forward as well.
Wonderful. It's great to hear that you have mentioned SDGs as one of the drivers of the sustainability ambition. So my next question to you is, how do you ensure that the support for the Sustainable Development Goal, in short SDGs, is an integral, deliberate part of leading your company's sustainability strategy?
Great question. And I'm going to, if you'll indulge me, I'm going to answer this that it's a bit of a journey for every organization to figure out and to grow into how they can incorporate the ESG or the SDGs really into their strategy. And I use my own kind of framing around a bit of a maturity curve on that. So at the outset, and I hope we have very few organizations and companies left in phase one, but phase one would be, are companies aware that the SDGs are for them? Or do they think, well, that's just for other stakeholders or other people? But really, at a corporate level and even an individual level, the SDGs are for all of us. But from a corporate level, we need business if we're going to deliver on our 2030 agenda and really accomplish what needs to be done with the SDG goals. So that's phase one. Do we understand they apply to us and all of us? And what is the role of business? Stage two, and a lot of people, and I see companies are through this stage even, is you connect to each of the 17 goals. And you might just, in a retrospective way, map your strategy to the goals, because you can see there's connections, right? So that's an important step to get through. But I think what we've learned, even from resources and education through Global Compact Network Canada, is we need to go deeper than that, because this is about delivering on the SDGs. So the next phase, and this is what Nutrien has done, we're mapping our strategy at the indicator level to the SDG goals. And that really helps understand how do we move the needle and actually make sure we're delivering on each of those goals. As the indicators are outlined, that is a helpful way to approach that. But I actually don't believe that's the end of the journey. I think there's one more phase, which is more on, I'll call it an impact level, or if you are a publicly traded company like us, it might even be an investment thesis. So I can share with you that if you are looking at SDG number 2, and if you are looking at specifically goal 2.4, which is to scale productive and sustainable agriculture, that's where Nutrien is leaning in a significant way to deliver on that goal. And that's how it connects to transforming agriculture for us. So I think those 4 phases are what would be a normal sort of journey to a full incorporation of the SDGs and how they really become core to business strategy.
Thanks, Candace. I'm glad that you have mentioned impact assessment as one of those critical phases. Measuring the impact of sustainability and SDGs initiative has been a challenging task for many organizations. As a sustainability leader, what recommendations do you have for your industry peers for tackling this challenge?
I'll validate the challenge and can just share that, yes, it is very challenging to bring the level of measurement and confidence level to that measurement that I think we eventually want to get to. I'll share with you that even where one would think it would be straightforward and easy to measure impact, it is challenging. So for us, I think we know we can measure emissions and track progress towards emissions reductions, et cetera. But what about when you're dealing with nature and a biological system? Then it becomes a bit more challenging, and those are things we're working through. Also, not only because you're dealing with the biological system and nature, whether you're reducing emissions or trying to quantify how many units of carbon you can sequester in our agricultural soils, but also because we're working at the farm level, these aren't a consolidated number of big organizations. You have hundreds of thousands of farmers and growers we work with. And how do you actually consolidate all that data and make that available and work through the data ownership issues as well, which is very important. So even where we think it would be easier, it can still be challenging. And there's things to build out and work through there. In addition to that, measuring the social impacts, which can on the surface seem a bit more intangible, I think is a very important part of our path forward. And so we're diving into ways where we are experimenting and how we can do that and actually communicate impact in a better way beyond qualitative measures. But overall, I would say to your question, if there's recommendations, I might offer two. One would be patience as this continues to evolve. And that patience would also include, though, paying attention to how are the capital markets starting to look at valuing the impact of the SDGs across your value chain. So if you're struggling with it, the good news is I think some tools and new methods are in development and will be helpful as they progress. If you're unaware of that, I would just recommend pay attention to that because I think it is really going to come to fruition in the near term. And my second recommendation would be to not, in the context of the complexities we have with measurement, not let it deter setting a really solid course of action and directionally correct action, even if we know we might have to still figure out along the way how to translate impact, in a way that's more quantitative with a high level of confidence. I know that's been important for me is, okay, we're going to have to figure out, but we shouldn't let that deter our level of stated ambition and the direction our actions are already, pointing to, given some of those challenges I'm in.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing those great recommendations. I'm sure your industry peers who are listening to this interview will find great inspiration from those. So we have also heard that collaboration plays a great role in improving a company's sustainability initiatives. So what role do you see partnership can play in strengthening your organization's sustainability commitment?
Yeah, well, absolutely. And SDG 17, partnerships is very important to Nutrien and a very significant part of our strategy. But personally, it's one I've reflected on a lot, and I'll explain why. So even a few short years ago, collaboration was fairly straightforward because we would get together on things that were maybe clearly pre-competitive. And now, in the context of which we need to be doing, your sustainability and your ESG focus is core to business strategy. It becomes a little less clear that it's completely pre-competitive space. So I think we are navigating both the challenge and opportunity with that because we work very closely with peers who are our competitors. And we absolutely know that to address some of the challenges, some people might say they're wicked challenges, that are inherent in the SDGs and dealing with some of the interdependencies and need to scale things quite quickly. Nobody can do this on their own. We have to have all stakeholders together, and that includes peers and competitors. But I think where I turn and get some real insight and help in navigating that is the convening forums, which are, Global Compact Network Canada, that present a way and a platform for us to come together in a very constructive way that all stakeholders understand and trust as well. And I think that is, for me, one of the very important aspects of how we can execute on partnership with the SDG 17 through organizations like yours, Iman, and the work you do with Global Compact Network Canada.
Thank you so much, Candace, and thanks for mentioning Global Compact Network Canada as one of the strong partners in your sustainability journey. I would like to thank you again for your time today and for sharing your insights with our audience. I'm sure we will hear more amazing things coming out from Nutrien and on the things that Nutrien is doing on the sustainability. With that, I would like to conclude today's interview series. Thanks again for the audience for listening to this interview series, and I welcome you to attend the next one. Please stay tuned. Thank you.